If you're not getting dirty, you're not doing it right. Now that is a crescent wrench. The used filament versus new one. Counterclockwise. Well, this time it came off real easy. Let that drip. My GoPro's got a little wet there. Okay, that's as tight as I can get it. This video is about how I changed the two fuel filters in my 2018 Ram 3500 with the Cummins for the very first time. Now, this isn't like a lot of other videos where there's experts or mechanics changing the fuel filters. This is where I show it how a DIYer did it for the first time and everything I went through doing that. I would suggest using the chapters below to skip to the sections that are interesting to you. But if you're doing this for the first time and you want to see what it's like for a first timer to do it, watch the whole video. I'm doing more maintenance on my 2018 Ram 3500 Cummins 6.7. Today's project is changing the fuel filters. I'm changing the front cartridge and the rear filter. Now, this is a project that any DIYer can handle. You just got to take a careful steps doing it. But if you follow the video, you'll see how easy it is, and you can save yourself hundreds of dollars and not be dependent on those thieving dealers anymore. Okay, as far as things you're going to need for this project, you're going to need a 28 millimeter or a 1 1/8 inch socket. You're going to need 12 inches of extensions. You need a little drain hose for the front and for the back, a little O-ring hook tool to unhook the gaskets, and then you're going to need a filter wrench to take out the back filter. Large set of channel lock pliers or a very big crescent wrench, and a drain pan to collect the diesel fuel. The first thing you're going to need are the two filters. We get the filter for the back filter. Comes like this, comes all nice and sealed with the rubber ring on the inside here. Also comes with two O-rings. Comes with the top O-ring and the bottom O-ring that go in there. Then you have your cartridge filter, which goes in the front, and then the O-ring, that one is in here too. So let's flip this open, and then the O-ring that you replace is in here. Now, there is enough clearance under the truck. I didn't need to jack it up. I put down a board and scooted myself under the truck to get to the drain tube and make sure I caught all the fluid on the front of the truck. Now, I'm also able to work under the truck at the back for the back filter without having to jack it up. Plenty of room in here. Put something down on the ground so you can scoot in and out easily. Now, the first thing we're going to do is attach a small extension hose to the hose that comes out of the front fuel canister. The hose that's in there that comes with the truck is a little short. You want to extend that hose. That'll make it all the way to your drain pan. And there you can put your drain pan underneath. If you're not getting dirty, you're not doing it right. Bring the pan under here. Okay, we're gonna plug that right in there like that. I take the tubing that I just attached to the drain at the bottom of the fuel filter, and then I run it around the steering mechanism and then line it up with the drain pan. Unless you're super tall, you're gonna need a stool. I definitely use a stool when working on this engine compartment filter. You're gonna go into the engine compartment. There's a yellow petcock, which is a purge valve. You're gonna turn that 1/4 inch, and that'll help the fuel that's in that canister drain out, so that when you loosen that top cap, the extra fuel will all drain into the drain pan. And we're gonna turn this counterclockwise just a little bit. Next, you're going to go back into the engine compartment. You're going to use your extension and 1 1/8 inch socket or a 28 millimeter socket, and then loosen that top cap by threading it through the wiring harness at the back. There are two filters in the Dodge Ram here. One is the front filter, which is accessed here in the engine compartment. We're just going to screw off a lid that holds the filter element. Problem is it's a little tough getting a wrench onto this lid. I'm going to use 12 inches of extension on a long handle ratchet with a 1 1/8 inch socket. Now, the socket, I have a wobble extension because there's a little bit of an angle. You need to be able to wobble and to get onto there. The best way to do this is take your extension, stick behind this wiring harness, behind this cable right here, and then attach the socket at that point. This over here. Put this down in here. Once you got the socket on there, push it down and sit it down over the filter cap and get in a position that you got lots of leverage to turn it, and just turn it from there. Get the socket down here, goes up through there, behind there, and comes out there. I got these wobble extensions. Well, this time it came off real easy. What the heck? This time it was like no problem. I guess whoever had it before me, what I'm doing is loosen it. I don't want to take it off all the way. I want to loosen it because I want to see if it stopped draining first. It did stop draining. Okay. I'm going to release that air. Man, the last time I did this, it was like murder. Whoever put it on last, I mean, put it on like insanely tight. I just used the 30 Newton meters, which you're supposed to use. Obviously somebody at the dealer before me last time had welded that thing on top. Okay, because that was easy this time. Wow, that's fucking wild. After you got the cap loose, turn the cap all the way off, put that somewhere safe. Oops. Then we're gonna grab the filter element itself, grab it and tug that out of there. Now, being careful not to spill any fuel because there will be a little fuel in there. So be careful as you have pull that out, shake it out, and pull the fuel element out. What I'm gonna do is go in here, grab this, pull that out, let that drip. Important to really let it drip. Put this under here and then take it out. I guess I just lift it out like that. At this point, I like to compare the old filter and the new filter to see the difference. The used filament versus the new one. After that, use your O-ring tool and grab that old O-ring that is on the outside of the canister, pull that off, get your new O-ring, lube it up really well with lots of fuel, make sure it's nice and lubed, and then place that O-ring over the fuel filter canister again. So I'm coming in here, I'm going to pull off this O-ring, this filament, pull off that old O-ring. Now I've got the new O-ring here. I got it lubed up a little bit with diesel. I'm trying to reach in here without falling on my hand. It's not easy. Put that over top. Oops. This is not easy to do. Okay, there we go. Make sure it goes all the way down the edge, all the way around. Okay. This is the tool that I use to pull the O-ring. Makes it easy to get up under there. Now you're going to want to take the new filter element and push it down into the cavity. You look at the bottom and you can see it's like an oval. You want to make sure the oval fits with the oval and you'll feel it pop into place. Come in from the top, kind of reach it in here. Maybe in from the underneath. Very easy to get that in there. Okay, good. Okay. And that goes over top. Then you just rotate it till it pops into place, and if you hear that little pop, that was good. Make sure the filter cap is nice and clean on the inside. You haven't got any dirt or anything like that. Replace the fuel canister, the fuel filter canister cap back just by hand, and then tighten it down. Okay, now I'm gonna get in here and clean around the edge here. Make sure that O-ring is nice and clean. I'm gonna soak up some of that diesel. It gets on there nice. So it's on there nice and clean now. Okay, so we're gonna reach in here with the cap. We're gonna put that on there. Spin that on by hand. Make sure it feels like it's going down nice. It says on here 30 Newton meters. Now we're going to tighten it with a torque wrench and the same extension and socket we used earlier. And we're going to torque it to 23 foot-pounds. I'm going to stick this over here. I'm going to put this down in here. I'm going to put my wobble socket in there. And then I'm going to torque it to 30 Newton meters. See, it doesn't really like that very much. Kind of. Okay, that's it. 30 Newton meters right there. In order to get it out, I'm going to separate that. Pull that out separately. And then do that. After that, don't forget to turn the little yellow knob on the petcock 1/4 turn clockwise to close it off again. Put my screwdriver in there and then tighten down that. I got my hose down here, make sure I get all that out of there. I'm gonna pull my little hose out of here. And we got that out. That's it, you're done with the front filter. Let's go to the rear filter. Now to get to the rear filter, it's right here at the back of the truck, just in front of the back wheels. Just shimmy back there and it's on the passenger side of the truck. Shimmy your body into a comfortable position where when you grab the fuel filter, you won't have any fuel dripping into your face. See me. See, I'm down here. See if I can see this. I'm down here looking up, and there is the filter right above me. Now reach up and grab the little wiring harness, push on the clip, and then unclip the sensor that's attached to the bottom of the filter. Come up here and pinch this thing and push this out. Okay, that came out of there pretty easily actually. That's what that looks like. Okay, I'll get that disconnected. After that, you're going to attach a small tube to the bottom of the petcock of the filter, and then make sure you get your drain pan nice and close. Now I'm going to take my hose here. Take my little hose. I'm going to stick the hose on there, and it fits on there perfect like that. After that, you're going to loosen that petcock, and then you're going to let that fuel filter drain as much as possible. Give it a few minutes to drain. Don't want. Okay, so there it goes. The fluid coming down there. I'm going to let that all drip out of there. Really make sure that that is completely drained. I'm going to screw that back in again now. I don't want that feeling on me while I do that and take that back off again. I don't want to get this dripping in my eyes either. After it stopped dripping, then we're going to grab a filter wrench and loosen the filter. Now if you have super strong hands and the guy before you hasn't tightened it super tight, then you might be able to do it by hand. But I always use a filter wrench because I got arthritis in my hands. I'm going to get my wrench in here and try to undo this. This is not going to be easy. I wonder if I can just do it on that thing. Do it on this part. I don't think so. Okay. Let's try this. This is not going to be easy, I don't think. Okay, good. There we go, we got it. This is not freaking easy. There we go. Okay, I want to make sure I get my face out of the way. Use the filter wrench to loosen the filter, and then use your hand to just loosen it all the way. You'll feel it getting loosened at the end. Be really careful because there'll still be fuel in there. Make sure the fuel filter is above, but your head is off to the side because you don't want any of that diesel fuel going into your face. Also make sure you got eyeglasses on just in case. But carefully grab the filter and then lower it down. And I usually just let mine drop into my drain pan. The important thing is that when you do put it in into the drain pan, flip it upside down so that the connector that's attached to it and the wiring harness that's attached to it does not go into the fuel. Be careful to make sure the wire and the connection stay out of the fuel. Okay. Unfortunately, my GoPro's got a little wet there. We'll see if they are okay. Is it okay to get diesel on the GoPro? I don't know. What I really want to do here is show. Get this one put down here. I really want to show how I've got to kind of now shimmy out from behind the car, grab the fuel drain pan with the filter in it, and now we're going to have to replace that filter. Now this filter comes with two gaskets, one for the top of the filter and one for the bottom filter where it attaches to the sensor. We're going to remove the sensor, pull off the old gasket, put the new gasket on, and then reinstall the sensor onto the new filter. Now that is a crescent wrench right there. Look at the size of that monster. Because I don't have a socket that big. So I'm going to put that on there, and then what I'm going to do is put this on here, and then I'm going to turn it like that. Here we go, see? Turn it like that. Got it loose. Now most people aren't going to have a wrench like that, so could have just used adjustable pliers like that. But let's take my sensor out. I also make sure that the old filter gasket came off, so make sure that that is with the old one. I'm going to put that back down in there. New O-ring, a new filter, and the new gasket is already on there, and it's all put in already. That they look like, there's the old one and here's the new one. Just going to pull the old O-ring off. We got the new O-ring. I'm just going to dip this down into a little diesel down there, get it lubricated. So I'm going to pop that over onto the sensor and make sure that that's all the way down around the edge, that is pushed all the way down on the edge right there. Okay, so now I have new O-ring on this side. I'm going to insert the sensor back into my new filter. That isn't double, right? The hook style. I don't really want to mess up my... That's good. Nice and tight there. I made sure that the petcock is nice and tight, finger tight. After you've got that filter all reassembled, you're going to go back onto the truck and carefully tighten that filter back onto there. Now if you feel some resistance, back up and try again. It should go on very smoothly and easily by hand. You want to make sure you don't cross thread it. Bring it all the way tight as far as you can with a hand tighten, and then I like to follow up with a small 1/4 inch or so turn with my filter wrench to make sure it's nice and snug. Finish off by tightening that petcock all the way, make sure it's nice and tight, then reconnect the sensor plug. Now I'm ready to reinstall the filter and then reconnect the sensor wire. Let's go underneath and get that connected. the filter back on, but first of all, we're gonna clean this surface real good. Get all that dirt off. You see all that dirt? Clean all that dirt off. We're gonna take our new filter. Okay, it's going on. Turn it on as tight as we can here. Okay, that's as tight as I can get it. That's it. That's all I got. Clicker. See, this is what the connector looks like, and that pops right back in there, nice and tight. And the petcock is tight. Wire looks good. We're done. Okay, now we've gotten to the most important part of this video. And definitely don't skip this part. After you've replaced the filters, right now the fuel filters are empty. The fuel lines are empty, and you need to make sure the fuel lines and the fuel filters are full with fuel before you start it for the first time. To do this, you take the ignition, put your key in, turn it to run, hold it for 30 seconds, turn it off, and do it over again. You do this at least 7 times, I would suggest. The first time I changed my filters, I only did it 5 times, and then I went to start it and it didn't start. I was freaking out. So I went and cycled it 2 more times, and then it did start. But I tell you, I was freaking out after the first time I tried to start it, and it was like, it didn't start. So make sure you cycle. I would definitely recommend 7 to 10 times, you know, the first time you do it, just to make sure when you do hit the start and crank it up, it actually starts. Put the key in, turn to ACC, and put it to run, and all the electronics come on. Leave the ignition in the run position for about 30 seconds. This activates the fuel pump, which fills the fuel filters. Okay. Recording 2 channels started. Turn it off. Put it on run. Do this at least 7 times. Turning it on to run, allowing it to sit for 30 seconds, and then turning off again. Each time you do this, it's activating the fuel pump, getting the air out of the lines, and putting fuel into the fuel filters. I'm going to go back to off. And back to run. This is the second position on the key. Hold in the run position again for 30 seconds. Recording 2 channels started. Go back to off. I cycle through the run position for 30 seconds 5 more times. Okay, I've let it to go through run sequence several more times. Let's see if we start up this time. Got it on run. And recording 2 channels started. Wi-Fi enabled. There we go. We're good to go this time. Excellent. A little sweating it there for a second when it didn't start. But I just had to give it probably 5 or 6 off and run cycles, and waited 20 or 30 seconds in between. And I did have 2 starts where it didn't start. So just be patient, I guess, is the word of the day here. And it seems to be running. I'm not getting any errors or anything weird. I'm going to go underneath and look for leaks. Went to the engine compartment and looked thoroughly all over the fuel filter to make sure there weren't any leaks. Then I went to the back of the truck, crawled under, and took a look at the rear filter, looked at both the top connection and the sensor connection. Today we tackled putting in the fuel filters in our 2018 Ram 3500 Cummins 6.7. We put in the rear filter, and we put in the front filter cartridge. Now, should you do this yourself? Well, I probably saved at least, I'd say, $300 just doing it myself instead of taking it to a shop. Usually it's $400 or more to have these fuel filters replaced every 15,000 miles. And I think it was 60 or 80 bucks for both filters this time. It's a messy job. You're gonna get diesel on you, especially in that rear filter. But I think it's worth it. It's good just to know your truck, know how to do it, and that way you're not dependent on those dealers that are just thieves. You can get the original Mopar parts yourself from Amazon relatively inexpensively. They come in a kit with both the front filter and the back filter. I really recommend that if you're a DIYer and you like to handle something but you've never done this with your truck, I say give it a try. It probably took me an hour to do both. Took me a little longer because I had to put lights and cameras, and I had 3 cameras and 2 lights going the whole time. So it took me a little bit longer, but I think if I had to do it without filming it, I probably could have done it in about an hour. The only thing is, I would say, is make sure you're checking all your gaskets and your seals properly. Make sure you're removing the old gaskets and putting on the new O-rings properly. And then check for leaks. Make sure you've closed both the purge valve, the yellow purge valve in the front, and make sure you close the black petcock in the back before you start turning the engine on. I would just say, if you're a DIYer and you don't mind getting your hands dirty and don't mind climbing under the truck to change these 2 filters, I say give it a try. Save yourself a lot of money. Be less dependent upon those dealers, and just have a good, enjoyable project working on your truck. I think your truck will like it that you're doing it yourself. Well, I hope you like this truck DIY video. We're RVers and we rely heavily on our truck. It has to be dependable, it has to work, and I like taking care of it myself. Now, have you done a fuel filter change on your truck? Please share your experience down in the comments section below, and any tips or things that you do differently than I do. I'd love to hear it down in the comments, and I'm sure everybody else would too. I'm also going to be doing on just changing the engine oil, which is a much easier procedure than doing the fuel filters. So if you don't want to miss any of these upcoming videos where I'm doing more truck maintenance, please consider subscribing by clicking this link right down here. I'm also going to leave a link right over here for a playlist on all my Ram maintenance videos.